On today's First Five, I want to hit three quick points about impeachment in Washington. You likely know that the House Judiciary Committee has announced they have issued articles of impeachment. It appears that a vote within the committee, the Judiciary Committee, will happen on Thursday. And assuming that the Judiciary Committee votes yes, along party lines, votes yes for impeachment, that will move to the floor of the House for debate next week. So we're really coming down to literally the week before Christmas, going to be watching the hearings in Washington about the impeachment of the president. I want to hit on some really important points about this impeachment effort. Number one, the Democrats chose to go with just 2 articles of impeachment, meaning they are not going to try to impeach the president on anything related to Mueller investigation and the whole Trump-Russia collusion hoax. The 2 articles of impeachment are basically on alleged abuse of power relating to the conversation between President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky back in July, and Trump's alleged refusal to the second article of impeachment is about obstruction of Congress, obstruction of justice, obstruction of Congress. They're saying basically because President Trump did not want to comply with every request for document, every request to make a witness available, that constitutes obstruction of justice. And I want to hit in that second point first, because we've hit in the first one so long. The idea that what President Trump did in deciding that he was going to take his argument to our court system to decide whether or not he actually had to produce the documents that the Democrats were requesting or make available the witnesses the Democrats were requesting is a basic article of due process. Everybody has the right to go to a court and challenge a subpoena, challenge the kind of things that the Congress was doing. And the Democrats are not only saying that they are above, they are the 3 branches of government are equal. They're not only saying they're above the right of the president. They decide what the president can decide. It holds executive privilege. But they're saying he doesn't even have the right to take it to court, to get a judge to decide whether or not his decisions, whether his labeling of certain conversations and documents and events fall under the executive privilege. This is power gone wild on the American left. Second point, very, very interesting, was the Democrats actually did polling to try to figure out what would fly in the American people's views when they pursued impeachment. So they polled the question whether the American people would agree with what the evidence has shown so far could possibly constitute bribery. They wanted to get that word bribery in the articles of impeachment because it comes right out of the Constitution. Apparently, polling answers didn't make them very happy because they decided not to use that word in the articles of impeachment. The idea of stretching the notion that the entire interaction between the president and Zelensky, the entire decision, what President Trump did say to Zelensky could constitute impeachment was so absurd, could constitute bribery, so absurd, so ridiculous that even the Democrats had to say, yeah, we're not going to go with that, can't go there with that. Final piece from in our First Five today relating to the Judiciary Committee and the entire process in Congress is this. As the impeachment hearing was rolling along yesterday, Republicans got very little chance to do much. They did have the opportunity to play the tape that we've shown the show so many times. I'm not going to play it again for you, but this is the tape of presidential candidate Biden, then Vice President Biden, speaking at the Council on Foreign Relations on stage, knowing he was recording, speaking about his interaction with Ukrainians, in fact, mocking or kind of showing off as he described his interaction with Ukrainians, saying, and I told them, I got my flat leaves in 6 hours. And if you don't fire that prosecutor who is investigating Biden's son's company, Burisma, you don't fire him, we're going to withhold $1 billion in aid. So the Republicans got to finally show the American people, this is what we're talking about. This is real quid pro quo, real bribery, which Biden did without any apology at all. And yet this is what they're going to try to impeach President Trump on, who didn't do what Biden did. But the last point in this closing of today's First Five, as Republicans got to the point in the hearing to play that, ABC, NBC, and CBS suddenly found it desirable and necessary to cut away from the impeachment hearings and go back to regularly scheduled programming. The media is just as happy as the Democrats to find any reason whatsoever to get rid of this president, which just leads me to one last little thing I want to do. We have, instead of Matt the Wonderful today, we have Travis the Wonderful. And I don't know, Travis, I sent some clips. There's a tweet that was put out by Paul Sperry, and it was a tweet about Paul Begala. And if we, okay, here we have it. Paul Sperry tweeted out, in a CNN interview this morning, Clinton consultant Paul Begala said he met privately with Nancy Pelosi right after the Democrats won the House in 2018 to discuss impeaching President Trump. Begala also said Dems will have to keep impeaching Trump if he's not removed and if he is reelected. And so let me tell you what I've said. As someone pointed out to me recently, I've made this point a few times in the show, I'm going to make it again. This impeachment has nothing at all to do with the conversation President Trump had with Zelensky of the Ukraine, anything to do with the entire interaction between the Trump administration and the Ukrainians. It has everything to do with the mission the Democrats have had since the moment Trump was announced as the victor in the 2016 elections. The entirety of this impeachment process is simply the Democrats fulfilling their determination to deprive the American people of their duly elected president because they're very upset he won. We've talked about many, many reasons why the Democrats don't like that President Trump won, including that he's actually succeeding in draining the swamp. But Begala saying this on CNN, folks, this is a Democrat insider acknowledging since before the Democrats even took control of the House, once they won the 2018 midterm elections, he and Nancy Pelosi talked about having to impeach Trump over and over until they got their way. And that, my friends, is today's First Five.